An influencer named MEATBALL, which I thought was like a singer for some like band, which apparently is not. It's some sort of weird Instagram influencer. Appears to be arrested while live streaming wild looting rampage in Philadelphia. Now, get this, this influencer is a genius and films themselves committing crimes with stolen alcohol, etc. Like, if you're good enough at like gaining an audience and potentially making some sort of like career out of that, maybe you shouldn't film yourself committing a crime that could potentially become a felony to where you serve prison time for it, thus ruining your chances of having a long career potentially in this whole influencer space. Just maybe. So let's check this out. Hold on, there's probably a video. Yeah.
Got one! Got one! Uh-huh! Uh-huh! Uh-huh!
So she's filming a whole bunch of people just robbing basically like I guess like an Apple store. And it's just like how stupid do you gotta be, right? This isn't like her like doing something where it's like a journalist where you're just like filming kind of stuff. She's basically egging them on. I believe she also on her social media basically told her massive following to come to this area and basically cause mayhem.
Uh-huh! Free iPhones! Free iPhones! Free iPhones!
And she's yelling free iPhones, free iPhones.
Wow, this is crazy! Oh my god, this is crazy!
Crazy. Okay, so a popular social media influencer known as Meatball live streamed the rabid looting spree that engulfed Philadelphia's city center overnight before she was seemingly arrested while cheering on the Marauders. Meatball, whose real name is Daijia Blackwell, shared a video and photos on her Instagram stories gleefully documenting the mass plunder of several businesses, including an Apple store, a Foot Locker, a Lululemon, and a liquor store. The content creator, with close to 650,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok, could be seen laughing, clapping, and shouting "Let's go" as she witnessed suspected looters fleeing while she was driven across the city. Which to me, like, if you have this type of audience base, like 650,000 people are willing to watch your stuff, like, yo, you can make crazy amounts of money per year doing things legally where you do not need to commit crimes. Period. Like, what the actual hell are you thinking? Like, this is the thing, like, I never understand why people who are in a position where they basically got everything going for them end up actively making a choice that just puts them in a super bad position like this. Let's see. Blackwell later continued filming the frenzy on foot, capturing her apparent enthusiasm. Tell the police they're either going to lock me up tonight or it's going to get lit. It's going to be a movie, she said at one point in her videos. Joining a crowd of youngsters loitering in the street, a laughing Blackwell exclaimed at one point, "This is what happens when we don't get justice in this city." So you have your whole community go rob places that have nothing to do with whatever you're doing. So you think the answer is just to steal iPhones for whatever cause you're trying to, I guess, portray that you're trying to support or something? No, it's just like an excuse to cause mayhem and to rob. Like, that's just all this is. And again, why are you so stupid that you will literally live stream yourself committing crimes and other people committing crimes? Do you really think that's smart? Like, at all? The influencer's video showed hordes of looters rushing into the Apple store near 15th and Chestnut Streets and emerging with iPhones and tablets in hand. Free iPhones, Blackwell cried out before filming people showing off their stolen electronics. Several smartphones and iPads were seen littering the ground and being stepped on by the looters. Which, by the way, it doesn't even make sense to like steal electronics like this because a lot of these electronics are tracked by the serial number, the VIN number. So unless these people are smart enough to like remove the tracking and whatnot, you're probably going to get caught eventually, which she did get caught. So as the rampage unfolded, Blackwell followed the crowds to the Lululemon store in Rittenhouse Square. Oh my god, the internet, the woman excitedly cried out in the footage showing the plunderers breaking into the business. Police then pulled up and proceeded to tackle and apprehend several people outside the store. Don't touch them, record this, Blackwell screamed while standing on the opposite side of the street. This is why we're out here, because you cops don't keep your hands to yourselves. Um, like, shouldn't a cop arrest people who are committing crimes right in front of them? Blackwell later got back in the car and headed to the next stop on the looting spree, saying in the video, "Keep it going." The livestream then captured a gaggle of men and women ransacking a liquor store that had been broken into in a shopping plaza. Blackwell herself is briefly seen holding a glass bottle filled with a brown liquid, thus probably alcohol that was stolen. Other social media users later shared videos showing Blackwell apparently being detained by police officers. User Drizzy Drea underscore posted footage in which a woman believed to be Blackwell was being led away in handcuffs by cops, and it was not known immediately whether or not she, got arrested. Let's see. So, police previously said they had made up to 20 arrests in connection with the rampage. We saw a group of about 100 people, some wearing creepy Halloween masks, pillage a string of stores. And again, this whole thing is just an excuse to rob. Like, that's all this is. Whatever they're robbing for is all for an excuse to try to get their hands on easy goods. So let's see some of these comments. Let's see. It's going to get to the point a store owner will have to hire armed guards to prevent this and shoot first, ask later. You can't steal and expect not to pay forever. They will stop if it has come to violence. It's no fault but the looters. Who in their right mind would want to live in a large city at this moment in time? Even walking the same streets has to be incredibly stressful, not to mention the constant threat of physical harm. Yeah, personally, to me, I've never understood the appeal of living in a big city, mainly because when you increase the population per square foot of an area, that means you're going to have way more interactions with more people, meaning the likelihood of something bad happening in terms of like crime is just going to scale up pretty dramatically, right? Just simply because you're having so many interactions with other human beings, and every human being is very different. Like, for example, let's say you were to live in like the country, right? You might have one human interaction every 10 miles, right? But more so, you probably have more interactions with like a cow than that. So the chances of you getting like a crime done to you by another human being, basically zero. Not zero, but basically zero, right? Say you go into the suburbs, your chances of like a crime committing, like getting committed against you is higher than zero, maybe like 5%, maybe, and it increases as you get closer and closer to like a downtown area. But once you're down in like a downtown area where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of like just like major businesses there, The population is very high. You end up having people who have crazy net worth in terms of like how high it is, with people who have basically nothing to their name. You have a whole bunch of criminals as well. You got a bunch of like jails as well, all kind of like crammed into like one area. Bad things are going to happen. It's just like basically only like a matter of time. So like again, personally, I have no idea why people would want to move into like cities or stay in cities if there's an option for them to like leave, because to me it just seems like it's not really worth the risk. It's like it's not really worth the risk of like you actually risking your life, but also money wise, is it really worth it? Because you're probably going to have high city tax, high county tax, potentially high state tax depending on the state that you're in. Not to mention everything's going to cost far more. Like a cup of coffee might cost you like $10, whereas a cup of coffee more so in like the country might cost like $1. So it's just something to like think about. Let's see. She was absolutely right when she said this is what happens when we don't get justice in this city, just not in the way she intended. Hmm, interesting. Barnes and Nobles was completely untouched. Yeah, see, it's kind of interesting that like the only stores that were like really touched were alcohol, Apple, and like kind of like I guess middle class, upper class, kind of like clothing, basically. Like popular social media clothing companies. Hmm. The companies she encouraged others to loot should sue her and take the proceeds of her streaming past and future until her debt is paid. People don't learn until they face the consequences of their actions. The thing is, I feel like she's not smart enough to have made any good amount of money or will make a good amount of money on her social media, like at all. Because if you have a social media following of a combined of like 650,000 people, you would not be down in like the city around crime, committing crime, filming yourself committing crime, right? You'd probably more so stay at home, probably binge TV or something, and also probably just keep making more money. Like, you should be able to make really good money with a follower base of 650,000 people. Like, just think about it for a second. That is potentially 650,000 people that you could potentially sell your own product to or sell a product to. So let's say that you had like a $20 product, right? And you had 1,000 loyal customers from that 650,000, right? And let's say that is a product that they could buy more than once. So potentially you could end up making 20 grand per month from one product from a small portion of your big follower base. Not to mention, this is also why like a lot of the OF creators or people with like a Patreon or whatever can make really good livings without a huge following. All they need is like a loyal follower base at a certain percentage of their following to pay them per month to really make a good living. You could end up making easily $10,000 per month with a $650,000 650,000 follower base, because you could just get 1,000 people from that follower base to pay you $10 per month. Like that is not out of line, right? Crazy though. Feel free to give your thoughts if you stumble upon this. whatever they might be. To me, I just think it's like beyond dumb to like film yourself doing this when you're probably making your career as an influencer. Like, what's the purpose of this? Like, it is just stupid.